Hello, Black America.
We always say, listen where you listen, watch where you watch. Thank you to the people that's checking in on Spotify, on YouTube, watching the visual experience. And shout out to everybody who we interact with and engage with in the comments. You know, some people who are already championing what we're doing. There's some people who are opposed. We love it. We love to see everybody in the comments. And you know, shout out to those of you who have reviewed us. It makes a difference. Even if you just, you know, hit 5 stars and just, you know, you don't have a question, you just want to pat us on the back, whatever you want to do, it makes a difference. So, all right. So when I discovered this brother, No Limit Eddie, young man, one thing that just took me, the first thing that hit me is this guy is just a courageous guy. He's not waiting for permission.
Right.
He's not waiting for everything to be cool and everyone go. You know, he basically said at a young age, 21, I believe, I'll see you guys later. Meet me out there.
I got to see how he came to this decision.
Yeah.
Who does that? But he does, apparently.
Right. So why don't you give him a formal introduction, and then we'll bring him on, and we can start to get some of these questions that we have and that the audience has answered.
Well, again, the guest we're bringing to you today is a young man goes by the handle of No Limit Eddie. You can find him on TikTok and YouTube. He puts a lot of content out there. I'll let him share a little bit more about his content and that sort of thing. But again, we're excited to speak to him because he was brave enough to go and do what some of us probably might like to do. Now, I'm not doing it at my age. Let's face it. Yeah. You probably have to be in his age range to be brave enough, not have enough obligations, familial obligations and things like that. So I'm just really interested to have this conversation with Eddie.
Wait, and I'm sorry. This is my fault. Eddie, this is my fault. Give us another minute because I want you to know, Eddie, what we plan. But by the time you come on, I want you to know kind of what we envision and the excitement we have around Africa. Then you come and you bring your vision and you give us the experience of what you've seen. Okay, so we have a plan that we have called Rep 2025, which, see, the things that we want to do in Africa we're going to continue to lay out regardless of reparations. So Africa is where we can build anything we want to build as long as we can make sure we own it and we control where the finances and where the money comes from. See, it's no problem with Chinese companies coming into Africa as long as they're not the ones who are the majority of the owners. It always becomes a problem when we look up and we got, you know, billions of dollars and then trillions of dollars being made, but yet the natives in the land don't own any of it. The workers working in the mines don't own any of it. The diaspora from there don't own any of it. You know, no one's owning any of this except the corporations themselves. That's the only thing we have to switch. Because when we consider that see, Africa has done a great job keeping bad money out. Right. Now, they haven't done a good job keeping people from poaching them. But not a lot gets into Africa. What I mean is Africa's, for the most part, not developed to its potential. It has tons of potential in terms of companies, buildings, real estate. The only way Africa is going to get there is they have to let money flow in. Right. And then that is going to build those private companies. Now, where's that money coming from? That's what it keeps going back to for me. If we can make sure that money is coming from us, from the diaspora, from the natives, from the government, even the African government, they're better off being the ones to invest in it versus bringing in outside foreign money. Because when you, and this is just my opinion, when you bring in outside foreign money, that comes with its own set of requirements. They want control. Strings, thank you. We don't need that. What we need is a collective group that will continue to build, that see that the promise of businesses and equity and wealth and peace is in Africa. And that's where at least half of our investment should be there. I have no problem with a person who's investing their in the stock market, in the real estate market in the U.S. But I think we've done a great job of laying a foundation, whether and showing you why we should not be investing exclusively in the U.S. as a people anymore. Be it, the threat of their economic health is challenged, whether they're going to be a superpower in the long run, that's up for debate. But also, they've burnt down every city we've built over the last 70, 80 years. We did an episode on that. So being that, so you've given us a lot of reasons to not even build here at all. I'm not going to be one of those people who's anti-building in America, but I am certainly 50-50. We need to be at least investing half of our resources, half of our assets, our wealth, our retirement. And I'm hoping that Eddie can do a great job of letting us see what it's like in Egypt and South Africa. Instead of people looking like they used to and saying, man, when I retire, I want to retire down south. I want to retire out in Pennsylvania. We really want to get people to say, including ourselves, we want to retire over in the motherland.
That would be great. That's a great dream, a great idea, a great vision, if you will. And I hope we can bring it to fruition. But we have a young man who can help us understand whether or not our vision is realistic or not. Is it something that we could actually do? So without further ado, why don't we bring our guest on? I guess we don't have applause that we can do, but when we bring our guest into the building here,
we got No Limit Eddie on stage, ladies and gentlemen.
What's going on? What's going on?
Clap it up for this young adventurous jet setter.
All right. Welcome to Hello Black America.
And what we always ask you to do when you start, when we start, this is a tradition, and it'll be a tradition among all our guests. You got to just give one big hello, Black America.
All right. Hello, Black America.
All right.
Strong.
There we go.
Strong.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, Eddie. We appreciate your flexibility and working with us and getting this done. We were excited to speak with you. I think the first thing I want to know, because you start all of your videos with this, let's start with your traditional greeting that you give on all your content. What is that, and what is that? What's the meaning behind that particular greeting that you normally give?
Yeah. Okay. Well, first, I appreciate being on here, being on the platform. Thank you guys for inviting me on. And as far as what I say in the beginning, I say Shalom, which just means like peace be unto you all. That's basically what it means.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That aligns with what we're talking about. We consider ourselves peacemakers, and you are greeting everybody with a greeting that is peace unto you. So shows you some alignment right there.
Yeah.
We didn't set that up.
Absolutely. And is that in any is there any religious or cultural identity there that you started?
Yeah. It's like a Hebrew word. It's common amongst certain like camps in the whole like Hebrew Israelite movement. So that is kind of where I originated that saying from.
Okay, well, this is definitely something we want to get in touch, go deeper with as we have this discussion with you concerning, those Hebrew roots and, where you are when it comes to how you identify with the Hebrews.
Gotcha.
But I guess why don't, for the people who don't know, Eddie, you begin to travel. You left the United States 21 years old, correct?
Right.
Solo, not with a family. Just you jumped on a plane, said I'm out of here.
Yeah. So I went on a plane solo, and then maybe 2 weeks later, my sister came and our dog and our cat. So one of 4 of my siblings, came along with me.
Now, when you told your parents, your family extended that you were going to be going to Africa, what was the response?
Yeah.
What were you greeted with?
Were they like patting you on the back? This is great. Were they like, you're nuts?
So I actually have a video like telling my mom, my little brother, like that I was moving to Africa on my channel. So I did document that. But for the most part, I'm a type of person to where they know once I set my mind to do something, there's no change in the mind. It's already there.
Mm-hmm.
So they're just like, all right, you going to Africa, like be safe. You know what I mean? That's kind of what it was for the most part.
Now,
Yeah.
from my understanding, you were planning to move somewhere like within the States, and then kind of took a left turn and decided to go to Africa. What informed that decision?
Yeah, like take us back to where you were mentally when you decided that you were going to leave. You know, there's a point in time where Abraham in the Bible has a revelation from God where God tells him to leave his hometown. You know, what was that like? When did you first start getting the messages that, you know, that you felt like, you know, God was telling you leave where you came up? You know, take us through all of that. Go ahead, take your time.
Got you. So that really started when I was around 17 years old. So when I was 17, I switched from traditional school to homeschool just because they wanted me to take extra classes that I didn't want to take. And so I switched to the homeschool. That had reduced classes. That was cool. So one day I'm at home, finished my schoolwork for the day. I'm on YouTube. I see these people. They're wearing like purple shirts, screaming at people on the street. You're going to hell, da da da, like all kind of crazy stuff. But it was intriguing for me to watch. So I started watching the videos more and more. And it was like this camp called IUIC, and they're talking about this, you know, black people that wrote Israelites. I'm like, I don't know what this stuff is, but let me tune in because it's entertaining at the very least. And so that kind of started me on this rabbit hole. Eventually, I ran into kind of like a doctrine of like Exodus, like we need to eventually leave Babylon. And there's different interpretation of what Babylon is. Some people say it's a church, some people say it's a state, some people say all kind of stuff. So either way, the camp that I kind of ran into was like Babylon is the states, and you need to eventually leave. So I was around 17 years old. So that's when I set the vision. Okay, I'm going to leave the U.S. one day. When I turned 18, I got a passport, even though I had never flown anywhere a day in my life. I had never even been more than 4 hours outside of LA until I left to Africa. And so, yeah, I started kind of doing it around that time, kind of making that vision. And then COVID came around. It was 2021 around there. And I was like, okay, LA is kind of crazy. I think I should move to Vegas, a little bit lower cost of living, maybe a little bit better just as far as laws. And I applied for an apartment. I got approved for it and everything like that. We're pretty much ready to go. Then I had a dream that like I should not be going to Vegas. I should go somewhere else. So I don't know where. I started praying again. Week 2 comes in. And these people, African Americans in Tanzania, like we're living in Tanzania and it's great. And so it just so happened that around that time, Magufuli, who was the president of Tanzania, he wasn't doing any COVID tests, no COVID vaccines. The country was completely open. And so this seemed like a good spot to go to, especially right now. And then like a few months later, I was in Tanzania. So that's kind of the whole rundown. Started at 17, made the move at 21. So
Wow.
Hello, Black America.